Welcome to the Head Over Heels podcast, dedicated to helping you build the business and life of your dreams. We'll be sharing tips on management, leadership, strategy, marketing and mindset, and much more. Let's get started with your host, Angela Cedrin.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Heads Over Heels. I'm your host, Angela Cedrin, and today we're going to be talking with Hayley Woodgate all the way from Ireland about bringing joy and abundance and operating with that abundance in your business. Hi, well, third time right for me.
We got there eventually.
Yay! So wonderful to meet both of you. Now, I guess we should probably introduce your baby to everyone as well, since she's going to be in this interview whether we like it or not.
This is Lady, and she loves being centre of attention, so she wants to shine in this too. So she's just going to putter around while I'm doing this.
Today's her opportunity for international stardom, hopefully.
Yeah, love it.
I love your energy, and I'm so excited to talk to you today. We were talking earlier before we started the interview around both our journeys, and we both have some similarities in terms of some of the pains that we've come through, and the fact that that pain has really put us in a position to know what our purpose is. But I'm very keen for you to share that with the audience. So tell us how you got here.
So I'll start with the pivotal point for me, and that was around the time I was 21. So I was very unfortunate to lose a dear soul to suicide, the closest thing I had to a father. And it was around that point that my health just started to rapidly go downhill. It's like my body was just rejecting any life within me. You know, I wasn't eating. You know, any food that I was putting in me was just coming back up. And I was going from doctor to doctor, and they just had no answers for me. And it really just started to spiral out of control from there. And because I wasn't really conditioned or taught how to deal with grief or how to manage with my emotions efficiently, what happened was I just suppressed it and just went numb within me. You know, I remember saying at the time, how is it that I can feel similar to a soul that has passed over, because I felt dead inside me. Yeah. And I remember at the time I was like 21, I was actually in a relationship, and I actually felt, I've never told this story before, but I actually found out when my father had committed suicide that the partner I was with was actually unfaithful to me. And his claims to me were, well, you weren't there for me emotionally, so I went elsewhere. And because as a woman, I was always projected the blame onto, I accepted it. I was like, okay, maybe I wasn't here. So I moved halfway across the country and actually got married to this man at 22. But it's like there was something within me was saying like, Hayley, this is not right for you, because my health just started to get worse from there. You know, yeah. I remember I had this picturesque wedding abroad. It was perfect. From the outside looking in, it was everything you would envision your life to be. It was the fairy tale ending. But I was so unhappy inside me. And I remember coming home from Lanzarote, and my health just started to get worse from there. And to the point where my whole skeletal system like collapsed. I became so weak that my ribs came out because my spine wasn't able to hold them in place anymore. And that for me was a scary point. I couldn't even breathe without suffering. And I remember I became like codependent on the hospital because I had no one to turn to. And I think this is something a lot of people, you know yourself, and you go through, and we don't actually speak about. And because we're afraid to show those struggles, we're afraid of what people will think of us because of what we've been conditioned to believe is true about it. And I never really shared that with anybody, but I didn't know where else to turn. No one understood me, and I didn't understand what I was going through. You know, PTSD really awoke the trauma within me that I hadn't healed from childhood. And that's where my story began for me, because after, I don't know how long of going through this, I went eventually to a specialist because I wasn't getting any answers. I went to a rheumatologist, and he basically said, look, you have got, and at the time, chronic illness was only starting to become something, and it wasn't very common, and I was classed with, or labelled with fibromyalgia. But it was that point, something awoke within me when he said to me, basically, you're going to be in pain forever. And I was like, so you're just telling me like I have no hope? I was like, how can a doctor, someone in the medical system, tell me that I'm going to suffer for the rest of my life? And although a part of me really wanted a label to attach to so that I could understand what I was going through, I also felt like this wasn't true to me. I was like, this is not my true being. I am not here to suffer. And that is where my story began, in which I was introduced to the path of spirituality, because all the natural remedies were not working for me. I actually had a nervous breakdown from a medication that was given to me because of the side effects. And I was like, I like the pain I went through at that time. I was like, something has to happen. And I actually shared this story the other day because I never told it before. I remember going to a family wedding of the man I was still with at the time. And I met a dear soul sister. We're still amazing friends. And she started talking to me about Reiki. And I was like, ah, because I'd never heard of anything like it. I was like, energy healing. Like, it was so out there, but I was so intrigued at the same time. I was like, tell me everything. And everyone was like jiving around us, dancing. And here we were talking about Reiki and fibromyalgia. We were just engrossed in this conversation. And that is where my story began. I started to go to energetic healing, and I started going down the path of natural healing while also learning a lot of truth within me. You know, I started to awaken to what I needed to face within me that hadn't already been healed. So it was from that point I actually felt like I invited in divine guidance into my life, and everything just unfolded for me. You know, it came to 2016 then, this is years on. Or the start of 2017, sorry, and I got this intuitive nudge when I was in the marital home that I had to just pack up and leave. And I was in network marketing at the time. I was a very successful leader. I was leading a group of women. I was already doing public speaking. I was very passionate about it, but I knew my heart didn't lie there. So there was a massive transition for me in that time in which I left that industry. I decided to go into blogging. And I actually packed my bags, went in to move with my mother, and I never came back. I was just like, this is it for me. Like, I know I'm not meant to go anywhere. And that's where magic really happened for me. I was then divinely guided to this home I'm living in now, and everything just started to unfold for me. I then came across my spiritual life coaching diploma and becoming a best-selling author, which I knew there was a book being born within me. And I just went for it. But I knew at that time the inevitable was going to happen. You know, I knew that something had to end that wasn't aligned with who I was anymore. And that was the marriage I was in. You know, I went in it with very low self-esteem. I felt unworthy as a woman. You know, I wasn't healed within me. And I would say I was quite destructive to myself because I didn't know how to nurture me. You know, I was conditioned in quite a dysfunctional and twisted upbringing. And because of that, it imprinted and embedded within me. And I hadn't yet broke those patterns yet. So because of that, I attracted him into my reality. But I was now at this point where I'd done all this healing within me and it was no longer mirroring who I was. So I then went into like this panic, like I went into fight and flight because I knew he was leaving. I think as a woman, you just have this inner knowing and you're like, I know it's going to happen, but I fought it. And I remember 2 days before he left, I actually had the dream that he was leaving, and he did.
Oh, you had a dream. Wow. That's the real gift of intuition.
My intuitive is spot on. I'm very blessed to have divine guidance, and I'm very spiritually awakened within me. So a lot of things are unveiled to me within dream state. And that's when it happened. And that's where everything began for me. That was 2 years ago now. And that's where my journey to go deeper into love within me really unveiled. And that's where I started to learn I can't serve from a place of scarcity, but I have to serve from a place of abundance within me.
Mm-hmm. I love that idea, but can you perhaps help the audience understand what you mean by serving from a place of abundance?
So at the time, I was going through adrenal fatigue. Because of what I was going through and the PTSD, I was really suffering within me. And I was trying to serve from a place aligned with that, because as women, we're not taught to look after ourselves and then go and serve wholeheartedly. We're just taught to give without filling ourselves from the inside out. And that was a huge pivotal part of my journey, because when he left, I went into that state. I went into serving from a place of emptiness within me. But because I was empty and because I wasn't full within me and I wasn't filling my cup out, I wasn't able to serve efficiently. So I wasn't showing up as the best coach I could be. And that was a huge part of my journey for me, in which I looked at my patterns and, you know, the upbringing I went through, in which my mother was conditioned the same way of being. And it was really going through this point in my career and stepping out of that network marketing and into life coaching and becoming an author that I realized, okay, I can no longer repeat these patterns anymore. If I want to live a life abundantly, it has to start with me. Whereas we are conditioned the opposite to be true, that to have a whole reality is to look outside of us rather than to come within us. So it very much really shifted my whole perspective, because rather than looking outside of me for this happiness and joy and abundance that I was craving within me, I realized it had to start with me.
Yeah, I think I do, and I think I understand what you mean. And I think for a long time, I also operated on that, because I don't know if you've ever worked with schemas, and schemas are usually patterns that we generate or create when we're children. And one of my schemas is this concept of self-sacrifice. So always put yourself second. So you give, and you think you're doing it because that's the right thing. But what happens is that you, as you say, you end up this empty shell of a person, and there's nothing left to give yourself in the end of that. But you also, by the same token, have to I guess overcome this concept of I'm being selfish if I do it for myself. So there's a real paradigm shift you have to make there, and you have to lose that guilt along the way, because I think we as women also intrinsically have this hammered into us that we are givers, and we are by nature anyway, but that it's selfish to ask in return, and it's not, effectively. And I guess that's what you're saying as well. Fill your cup, fill your energy, and what you give yourself what you need first, and then you can serve everyone else with 100% of yourself.
Yeah, see, unfortunately with that pattern, we've been conditioned to believe it comes from a place of love within us, which is not true to who we are. Because the thing is, the reason as women, and this has gone through generational lineage, so this is where there's no blame within it, because we've been doing this for over a lifetime. The thing is, women think that to give is to come from a place of love within them, but actually it's coming from a place of lack of love. And it's actually aligned with conditioned love rather than unconditional love. Because the reason we've been a giver is to get approval and love within us, which is to continue to seek outside of self rather than to look within self. So we have been like believing that actually we're good people if we keep giving, even though we're coming from an empty vessel, but it's come from a place of low self-esteem within us. Whereas when you're serving from a place of love within, you know there's an abundance of it, so you're serving wholeheartedly. And that was a huge lesson for me, in realizing that actually I wasn't being the best version of me by giving so abundantly when I had nothing within me. It was just because I had insecurities as a woman, and I thought that love still came from outside of me. So it was a huge paradigm shift. And it's a huge one for every woman, because we've been conditioned it for so long.
You make so many good points. And the one that I really wanted to pick up with, I've written it down, is low self-esteem. I would agree with that 150%. That the minute you suddenly start loving yourself and having that self-esteem, I think you do step up a bit more and say, no, this is mine, or this is what I need. I think we find our voice, essentially, and then we articulate what we actually need. And that self-love and that self-esteem drives us to actually look for it and find it, but also not to accept less. I think it's a brilliant thing that you're saying. I mean, I so agree with you in terms of that. And I see so many women actually doing the same thing. So in terms of my coaching and my philosophy, I'm obviously a business coach. So I teach the systems and the skills. But one thing I've always done, even with corporate clients, is to say to them, well, a successful business is about balance. And balance means you have the right systems, but you also have the right skills. and the right, I suppose, mindset, they call it, leadership skills, essentially. So you have to have those right behaviors and you have to have the right systems in place. And nothing's ever going to work in life unless you have both. So do you deal with, tell me about your clients. Who do you coach?
This is very aligned, actually, because basically what I help women do is, because I always knew I had a mission within me, but I knew I had to heal myself first. So this is what my program's about, is knowing that we have to become the leader of self before we can lead another. I am very much about embodying the truth of who we are before we can go out and be of service to the world. So I created this 6-week program that helps women do that helps them heal within, and anything that's no longer aligned with that love energy, they will shed it from their being, because we can't step out and be a leader until we're embodying love within. Because unfortunately, a lot of leaders are coming from a fear-based energy. It's from that scarcity of I need money or I need this for fulfillment within me, which is to continue that pattern of looking for love outside of self rather than within self. And I help women tap into the love within them, in knowing that you're not surviving in your business, but you're thriving in it. Because I truly believe you cannot, I don't care how successful you are, if you're out there leading for a place of scarcity and you're aligned with that masculine energy of hustling and bustling, you're not fulfilled within you, because it's not going to make you happy and it's not sustainable. It's not sufficient. How can you carry on? In 10 years' time, you're going to be burnt out. And that's not what we're here to do. Like, we need to be a true advocate for the clients we're going to lead. So I help women become who they want to be and who they want their client to be before they can teach their client to do that. Because there's so many leaders that aren't aligned with truth. And unfortunately, there's a lot in the industry. You know, they show this picture on the surface, but they're not embodying it within them. And I want women to embody that real leader, to be a true advocate for their business, in saying, well, actually, this is what I do. I don't just teach, I don't just preach, but I actually do it within me. And that's what I help women do. And that's a huge passion of mine, because you're not here to suffer. You deserve better than that. And you are not here to give from a place of scarcity, because we're abundant beings. It's our birthright.
That's so beautifully said. And something you've made me think of is the last couple of weeks I've been looking at the difference, a very masculine way of marketing and a very feminine way of marketing. And it got me thinking around doing business from a very feminine perspective, a much softer, I guess, more loving perspective. And I think a lot of women in business and I guess in coaching as well have felt that to compete in this business world, we have to become more masculine and less soft and less feminine. And you know, we've had to toughen up in a way. And I think that has caused a lot of women to lose some of their authenticity. So I love what you're saying. What you're saying also, this abundance, this femininity, this, I guess, the goddess within, is very much coming from a female perspective. And I'm loving the idea that so many more women can now come into the industry or into the business world and contribute from that perspective. Because whilst I'm very big on equality, obviously I think we all deserve the same salaries for the same job, I also believe that we are the same but different. And we both bring different aspects to the table. You know, it's this yin and this yang concept in the world, and you need both parts to create the whole. So it excites me what you're talking about now. And I think we're almost moving into a phase in the world now where we have permission to be like this. We don't have to be, you know, ball breakers. We can come from this place of abundance and love. And for me, I mean, one of the values in my business is actually love. And, you know, in corporate, they would have laughed at me 5 or 6 years ago. And that's also the beauty of having your business. You can choose whatever you want as your value. And mine is love, because I believe that if I put love into everything I do with my clients, with my suppliers, with myself, everybody's going to come out so much better. And this is really that place of beauty and giving and abundance and service as well.
I love that. And, you know, that's what we need more than anything. And this is at the core of it, because we're all needed to bring love to the world, and it starts within us. And it's not so much it's very easy to go out and market a business and be like, this is all great. Like, look how amazing this is. But it's the energy within it. And if you're bringing to love to the world, to me, you're succeeding, because there's a lack of it. We've had a lack of it for a very long time. Yeah. So if you're putting love into your business, that's successful within it, because you're giving something to the world that is really needed, because we've been conditioned for so long that we can't succeed unless we're ball busting, unless we're pushing. But pushing is not succeeding, it's allowing. And that's what help women come into, and not even just women, men as well, because they're moving into this energy as well of ease and grace within them. It's trusting that what we need is going to be served to us. And this is where it comes back to not leading from a place of scarcity, but abundance within us. Because if you're aligned with scarcity, then you're aligned with fear and not faith. You don't believe that you have what you need within you or outside of you to succeed efficiently. Whereas if you're aligned with faith that you are going to succeed, you're not going to be pushing, because you're going to trust it. And that's a huge thing for me. And especially in the retreats I do, is helping women move out of that fearful space of scarcity and survival instinct and into that place of thriving, of trusting that we are being led divinely. Because everything I do, I flow with. And this is why I say to the women, when you're working with me, you're going on an epic adventure, because it's just that momentum of going with it. You have to trust one step at a time. There's no full force ahead. It's the here, the now, the present. And that's where you get to enjoy your journey, because people are really, really mistaken that it's about the destination, when it's not. It's about the journey within it. So I think this space is so, so important to embody within us, so we can enjoy the unfolding of it. Because if we spend 10 years pushing and sacrificing our life, for a destination where we think we're going to get to what we want, we're going to be missing out on a whole lifetime of what could be, such sacred and divine moments of this life that we are given. And people don't appreciate that, because yet again, they're in that momentum of looking outside of them rather than believing what they need is within them.
Yeah, that's true. And grace and wonder, I found. So I've just completed another Tony Robbins 7-day course. I absolutely love him. And he is very much a man, I think, who operates from what you talk about, this place of abundance and spirituality. So it doesn't have to be uniquely feminine. I think anybody who can find that. And in some ways, it's actually a very Buddhist concept, this working on yourself and finding almost this enlightenment where you realize you can be like this. But he also talks very much about service and abundance. And I've completely lost my train of thought now. So I'm trying to remember what my point was in terms of that. But look, I think it's gone. So what I'm going to say, though, is the world really could use so much more of it right now. I see so much aggression and so much anger and so much, desire for revenge at the moment with everything that's going on. And I just fear for the world we live in. So the more we can bring love and abundance and grace. Grace is the other thing, I think. I love this concept that Tony Robbins uses of grace, because he doesn't talk about religion, I think. And a lot of people, I think, have lost their religion. They don't necessarily believe in a God. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's the way it is. But what he talks about is grace. So it's filling yourself with grace and this wonder as well. And I think when you do live more in the present and you enjoy each step of the journey, you've just become so much more fulfilled, because I don't know, there's almost a peace that comes over you. Certainly like that as well. And that brings me to a point of calmness, a point of contentment. There's a really lovely Buddhist monk. He's a Vietnamese monk. He's old now. I think he's in his 90s, but he can't go back and live in Vietnam under the government. So he lives in a place called Plum Village in France, and his name is Thich Nhat Hanh. And I love some of his writings. So he even wrote a book with a Catholic priest once about how you can be Catholic and Buddhist, but live the principles of Buddhism, of basically this abundance that you're talking about, because that's essentially what they talk about. Work on yourself, build on yourself every day, fill yourself with sense and wonder, and find that calm and peace in yourself so that you can project it to the rest of the world as well.
100%.
And that's where your meditations come in. So on that point, what 3 or 4 tips or hints or advice would you give people looking to live this life and serve from a place of abundance?
Something that just come up for me there, which was definitely a key point of mine in the core of what I do, is you've got to heal the wounds within you. Because going back to what you said there about there's so much anger and resentment in the world, it's because they're projecting their wounds onto others. And as you said there, we can either project peace and love into the world, or we can project the wounded within us. And it's an unconscious, unhealed energy of trauma. And this is what I help women do, is to break free from that. So the core thing for me, and the first and foremost thing, bring that energy into your business, is to heal the wounds within you. Because if you are not healed, you're going to project that energy into your business and onto your clients, which is going to continue the cycle of woundedness rather than breaking free from it. And this is why it has to start with you. So my first and foremost tip is to be your own healer. Like, that is the core of what I do. And I have a book coming out about it because I'm so passionate about it, in how to heal the trauma within you. Because we have been conditioned and replaying the cycles of trauma within us for a lifetime. And we continue to replay it by projecting it onto others. But when you decide to come within and become your own healer, not only do you stop the pattern, you stop the cycle. And it doesn't go on in the next generational lineage, because I truly believe we have to really be bigger than ourselves. And the key thing is for me to think about what you are leaving behind. How are we impacting the next generation? So when you are doing this work and you do the first crucial thing that is necessary for you and your business, know that it's not just for you, it's for a greater picture. It's about what we're leading for our daughters, our nieces, our nephews. What are we leaving behind for them? What is our legacy? And I think that's the core thing for women to embody, is to get out of yourself and think of the greater picture here. So that is my number one. Be your own healer and get out of yourself, in knowing that this is about something bigger. We're here to contribute to the collective, and it's not just about self-serving, it's about serving as a whole within it. And then my second tip would be feel yourself from the inside out. So it's embodying that truth that love does not come from outside of you, it comes from within you. And I have a beautiful workbook that helps women do that. It's only £22, but it helps women tap into the love that you are. And this is so important for me, because this is not fluffy self-love of I love myself. It's really important we embody unconditional love. So my second tip isn't to love yourself perfectly, it's to love yourself imperfectly. And this workbook helps you do that, because we're very much conditioned, because of what we are portrayed on the outside society, especially with women, how we should look, how we should dress, how we should perceive ourselves. It's a specific persona, but we're all unique to who we are. And this is a huge mission of mine. It's not embracing a person more, a persona of what a woman should be. It's embracing who you are, in knowing there's no one mold, because our divinity is our uniqueness. So my second tip is to love yourself for who you are. It's so important that you know that you are the key, because you're not like anyone else. That is your magic. Your magic isn't molding yourself in and trying to be a persona of someone else. It's who you are. And this is where a lot of women actually go wrong, because they think we're in a competitive society, and we're not, because again, that comes from scarcity. When we're abundance within us, we know there's no competition, and we stand side by side and honor each other for who we are. So that's my second tip. Don't just honor yourself for who you are, but honor other women in knowing it's okay to be unique within it. So, and if you do want the self-love guide, you can go to hayleywoodgate.co.uk/self-love guide, and you can get it there. And then my third tip, well, let's get a really good one. Yeah, okay, this is what comes up for me. The third thing is, where are you aligned with survival in your reality? Okay, so this, Tony Robbins actually taught me this when I was doing one of his challenges. Where are you aligned with survival and scarcity in your reality, and merge out of that? You've got to address that before you can thrive, okay? You can't merge into your business if you need it for money, or if you're lacking financially, or if you're struggling within you. If you're going through a pivotal moment in your life where you're struggling emotionally, you've got to address that before you can serve wholeheartedly. So sit down and address what needs to be shifted within your reality. So if you are building a business and you are struggling financially, how could you build a solid foundation that you're building from? Because if you're building from a place of, I need money, you're going to bring that energy. And I'm going from experience here. This is my experience. So I've been there and I've done it. When you're serving from that place of, I need money, your clients feel that. As you said, Angie, we sense other people's energy, especially as women. And if you're coming from, I need money, the people you're going to work with are going to see like that almost desperation within you. Whereas if you have a solid foundation and a ground you're building from, where you have that, even if it's enough to get by, then you are building from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. So look and address those points in your life that you can thrive rather than survive, because otherwise you're not going to serve wholeheartedly. And this was a huge lesson for me, because when my marital breakdown happened, I was focused on money. I was like, how am I going to survive? Because I was codependent on him financially. And I brought that into my business, and I made a lot of, I'm not like ashamed to say it, I made a lot of mistakes because of it. Because I was constantly in this energy of, I need money. And it pushed people away. It pushed people away from me. They were like, I don't want to work with her, because I was like this all the time. And I had to really realize, okay, I need to build a foundation before I can start growing anything from it. Because a seed needs to be planted. It needs a ground. So address those things in your life that have or are aligned with scarcity, and then build from there. And that, I have to say, that is like a core thing for me, because otherwise you're never going to succeed in your reality, because you're not going to be full within here. So for me, they are your 3 sacred tips. Be your own healer, so you're not projected woundedness into your business. Number 2, love yourself for who you are, in knowing you are amazing. That is what makes you like divinity, is because you're you. And the third thing is then look at where you're aligned with scarcity and survival in your reality, and merge out of that. So they're my 3 top tips for women in business.
I absolutely love those. Each one of them in their own little way resonated with me. And I'm particularly interested in the workbook that you mentioned. So where can we find that? On your website?
You can access it on my website, or you can get it on my Facebook page, and it's actually really powerful. And you also get a guided meditation within it. But the key thing for this workbook is you're aligning with true love and not conditioned love. Yeah. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things about self-love out there that are aligned with a conditioned reality. Whereas this workbook helps you come into the truth of who you are. It's not about loving yourself conditionally or a perfect persona. It's about unveiling that mask and being who you are. So I've put together, it just came through inspiration to create this beautiful little, it's so divine, this little workbook, because I love that creative energy in which you're going to break those patterns within you. It's going to have that aha. And it's mainly for women who have been in a string of toxic and dysfunctional relationships. They've been repeating that pattern within them. If you're struggling to accept yourself and you're competing in your reality, or if you just feel like you're serving from a place of scarcity, then this is the most beautiful thing that you can gift yourself. Because I think this is a huge thing as well. You're not actually investing in me, you're investing in yourself. And it's really important to empower women with that truth. When you're investing in this book, you are not supporting my business, you are investing in yourself. And I just want anyone who's watching this to know that you're worthy of that. You're worthy of that investment in you. So you can get that on my Facebook page, which is found at facebook.com/Hayley Woodgate, because I have a shop there, which you can access all my courses, my workbooks, everything is within there. Or you can go to my website, which you will see Self-Love Guide.
Well, I can't wait to get my hands on it. I'm going to be doing that straight after this interview. Thank you so much. I love your cup, by the way. Nice and big too.
It's massive.
So look, I feel actually, I feel great after talking to you. It's like I've had a little bit of you rub off on me. I must say, you've got a beautiful energy, and it comes all the way from Northern Ireland through Zoom to Sydney, because at the moment with COVID, that's pretty much where I'm going to be for the rest of the year. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm so thrilled to have you. It's been just a joy talking to you, and I look forward to having a long and wonderful relationship with you, Hayley.
I just want to say thank you so much. The minute I saw you, I was drawn to your energy. So thankful for just allowing me to share my truth, allowing my voice to be heard, and having a platform for other women, because I am just very thankful, and this is where I get emotional. I'm very thankful to women like you who enable themselves to share their truth. You know, you've gone through a lot of trauma yourself, but you're willing to stand up, step out, and help other women because of it. So I just want to thank you and honour you and say that I love you from another sister, because I deeply appreciate you.
Thank you. Actually making me tear up. Look, thank you so much for that. And it means a lot to me, because I am so committed to helping women. And the more we can, as you say, stand side by side and support each other, the more abundance we'll have. Well, now I'm really starting to cry. So I'm sorry. So thank you so much. And, you and I think are going to have a very long friendship.
I can feel it.
Me too. Thank you so much. This has been another, albeit teary, edition of Heads Over Heels. I'm your host, Angela Cedrin, and I will see you next time.
This episode of Head Over Heels, the podcast for female entrepreneurs, has ended. But be sure to subscribe for more business strategies and tactics to help you create the profitable and successful business and life you've always dreamed of. And don't forget to rate and review so we can continue to bring you the best content. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.